Here's a quick way to do some braided geometry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use rail extrude. I'm going to rail extrude a box, but in order to create my rail, what I'll do is I'll start with a box, or just really a flat plane. And before I make it, I'm going to make sure that I have enough points to work with, and I want 9 points to work with. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to go back 1. I'm using the arrow keys to add and subtract segments. So now I know I have enough segments to work with, so I'll make it. I'm going to kill the polygons by hitting K on the keyboard. Select these points. Don't need them anymore. And now I have the points that I can use to make my spline. So I'm going to select these. Control P. And now I have my spline. And now I just need to give it some shape. So I'm going to take these 3 points and I'm going to move them over to the side. And then take this point and move it over. Kind of make this nice little curve. Do the same thing with these 3, but just going the opposite way. Nice little curve. Stretch them a little bit. Okay. And now I have this S shape. And in my front and back view, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the figure 8. And this will help so that the braids kind of intertwine with each other. So I'm going to take these 2 points. I'm going to pull them down. I'm going to take these 2 points. I'm going to move them up, and as you can see, I've got an S and a figure 8. Now what I need to do is make this spline longer, continuing this shape. So at 200 meters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I basically got a meter long shape here, and I want to make it longer. So I'm going to go to the Multiply tab, Clone. Number of clones, let's do 3. And it's running down the Z, so down the Z we want to offset it, the length of itself, so that's 1 meter. Hit OK. So now we've continued that shape, and we've got these individual pieces. I'm going to merge points by hitting M on the keyboard. 3 points eliminated. And now I'm going to select these and hit Shift Z so that I just have 1 to work with. So I'm going to take and go into layer 2, put layer 1 in the background, and I'm going to zoom into the head of my spline here, and I'm going to draw a box. Okay, and I'm going to move it. First I'm going to flip it so it's going the other direction, and then I'm going to move it into place, say here and here, and I'm going to kind of help orient it by just rotating it in the direction that the spline's already moving in, say like that. Okay, and that should do. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rail extrude it along the length of my spline. So I'm going to go to Multiply, Extend, Rail Extrude. I'm going to use uniform lengths, and let's set this, well, 30 is fine, so I'm going to hit OK. So let's take a look. So I've rail extruded that box. I'm going to keep my spline because I never know if I want to go and make any changes. I'm going to hit Tab so that I can turn on subpatches, and then I'm going to copy paste, and I'm just going to move this one down a bit, like so, and copy paste and do it again. Take this one, or take my second one that I did, and just see if I can adjust it a little more. Okay, so let's take a look. So we've got this braid going on. Now say you're like, well, it's too thin. This looks more like jewelry and I want it to be more like braided hair. Well, here's a neat little trick. I could have made the box bigger, and when I rail extruded it would have been a thicker strand. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Modify tab, and under Translate I'm going to choose Point Normal Move. and if I click and drag, it's going to move all of the selected geometry. In this case, everything is selected since nothing's selected, and I can move it along its normal. So now when I'm sizing this up, I'm thickening up the braid. There we go, something like that. Put a nice rope or hair texture on that, and we're good to go. If you want it to be even here, well, you can either delete the extra geometry that you don't need here. You can delete that and then cap the ends, or you could create 3 individual splines that are the length that you want and rail extrude each one of those. Either way will work, but what you end up with is a nice braided either rope or hair or whatever you need to, or jewelry. This could work for jewelry as well.